Hello students, my name is Zareeb and I am your English mentor, and today we are going to discuss something very important, which is how to ace an essay. Now you all know that writing an essay is an extremely crucial thing that we need to know if you want to ace any entrance exam or if you want to conquer any boarding school exam. So this is something very important that you all need to know. But before we begin on how to ace an essay, let us first understand what exactly is an essay. So you can say that essay is a way for you to represent your ideas to the reader. It is just a way of presenting your thoughts. What do you believe in? When you see a topic, what ideas come to your mind? You can portray those ideas, you can represent those thoughts through an essay. So you should understand that essay is not an article, it is not a letter, it does not follow any specific format, rather it is just a way for you to express yourselves, and that is exactly what you should do when writing an essay. So without further ado, let us begin. So of course, writing an essay is very important and you should know how to write an essay. For instance, let's say I give you a topic. I say you need to write a 150-word essay on COVID-19. Now a lot of ideas come to your mind, a lot of pictures come to your mind. For example, the masks, the sanitizers, vaccines, lockdown, fear of getting contaminated, or visiting the hospitals, even the loss of our beloved ones. These things come into our mind and we get so overwhelmed with these ideas that we just want to write them all down at once. And this is the biggest and the most capital mistake that you can make. That you just make a mess of all your ideas and give it to the reader, and it is very hard for him to understand your thought process. Therefore, it is very important for you to divide your essay. So what we have done here at Truemaths is given you an idea of how you can divide your essays, how you can divide your thoughts, so that you come across as a structured person who can organize his ideas in a very clear way so that the reader or the evaluator can enjoy reading your essay. So the first part of your essay is the introduction. Of course, the word itself tells you that you need to introduce the topic, but this is, I think, something we all tend to ignore. We forget to introduce the topic. We just assume that the reader must know it. For instance, if you got a topic on COVID-19 or let's say on climate change, you're going to assume that the reader already knows what global warming is, or he already knows what COVID-19 is, right? But no. Despite the fact that he may or may not know it, you still need to introduce the topic. For example, if I'm writing an essay on COVID, first I need to introduce what exactly is COVID. When did it start? Why is it so dangerous? There are so many other diseases. Why don't we consider them an epidemic? Why is COVID considered so dangerous, and why we imposed lockdowns on ourselves to stop it from spreading? So you need to introduce the topic. That is very important. Now again, introduction is a way to grab the attention of the reader. Imagine this, I give you 100 essays to read every single day. Of course, eventually you are going to get bored, right? Same thing goes with the evaluator. He reads so many essays that he is actually, let's say consumed, or he is sort of bored by reading the same cliche statements. So introduction is your way of grabbing his attention. This is a golden opportunity for you to awaken him. And how exactly can you do this? You can do this by starting with a quote, or let's say a figure, or a did you know question. For example, let's say if there is a topic, say global warming or climate change or pollution, there is a very famous quote that "Be the change you want to see in the world" by Mahatma Gandhi. You can start with this quote. The moment the evaluator reads this, he is interested in your ideas, because your starting was very different from others. So you have already differentiated yourself from other essay writers in the very beginning. So introduction is crucial for you to grab the attention. So it is, let's say, the most important part of your essay. So it needs to be the best. So if you don't remember a quote, you can mention a figure. For example, you can say that every year, or let's say that in India, out of 100 cities, 63 come in the most polluted cities of the world. If you're writing about pollution, this is a great figure. Or let's say you can start with a did you know question. That did you know that Amazon forests are the lungs of the planet, and yet they are being burned at this very moment? Again, a very intriguing question. All of these will help you grab the attention of the evaluator. Moving on, make it concise and to the point. introductions should not be very long. It should be hardly from 4 to 5 lines. Let's say if you are under a word limit of 150 to 200 words, then your introduction should not exceed 5 lines. You just need to describe the topic, what is it about, and most importantly, why is it relevant? Why exactly are we discussing it? So I hope you got the idea. There are 4 parts to your essay. The first part is introduction. This is how you should introduce the topic. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. What is the next part of our introduction? What do we need to do after introduction? The second thing is problems. What exactly do I mean by problems? Well, think of any topic. You can always come up with the problems regarding that topic. For example, of course, pollution and COVID-19, they have many problems. They affect our lives in many ways. Pollution, it can cause asthma, it can lead to many lung diseases, and there are other inconveniences caused by it. Same goes for COVID. But it's not just about these topics. Let's say there's a topic that you need to write about your dream India. What is your dream of India? You can use exactly this format even in that topic. You can first introduce India. What is it? What is its geographical location? What is its cultural diversity? And after that, you can come to the problems that we are currently facing in India. Okay? Now, there is one very important thing that you need to keep in mind, that you need to identify the relevant challenges. What do I mean by relevant challenges? Relevant challenges mean the ones that are relevant in today's life, that you and I can relate to. We don't need to talk about problems that existed 100 years ago. We need to talk about problems that exist right now. For example, instead of talking about something related to, let's say, unemployment or poverty, I think a more relevant way is of talking about technology, because that is something we both can relate to, right? So identify those problems or those challenges which are relevant. Secondly, describe how these challenges affect our lives. You just don't need to mention the problems, that social media is a problem for our lives. Describe it. How is it a problem? Why is it a problem? You need to convince the evaluator. You don't just need to share your thoughts. You need to convince him. When you're trying to convince your parents, you give so many arguments in your favor, that I will do this, I will study on time. When you want them to give you something, you try to convince them with arguments. That is the exact same approach you need to follow here. Convince them. Okay? And lastly, when running on a word limit, always remember less is more. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. See, let's say you are writing about pollution, okay, and you can come with 10 different points on what pollution is, but there is a word limit. So what you will think is that you obviously want to show your knowledge to the evaluator, that I know 10 points. So what you will do is you will write all the points. You will write all the points irrespective of the fact that if you are exceeding word limit. But this is again a capital mistake. You don't have to exhibit your knowledge. When you are writing an essay, instead of showing that you have a lot of knowledge, show that you have knowledge and you can present it in the right way. You can present it in an organized way. That is what an essay is about. They are not just interested in your ideas. They are interested in the way you can present it. You can convince them. So less is more. For example, if we are talking about, let's say, pollution, there's air pollution, there's water pollution, there's soil pollution, there's noise pollution, and many more. But instead of mentioning all of them, select any 3 or 4. Let's say I'll select any 3: air pollution, water pollution, and noise pollution. And I'll describe each of these. What is air pollution? Why is it caused? What are we doing to resolve it? How are we contributing towards air pollution? Same goes for water pollution and noise pollution. I will describe these 3 instead of mentioning all the points. Okay, so always remember, even if you are overwhelmed with ideas, I said that you can talk about problems in India. You can of course come up with hundreds of problems in India, but you don't need to do that. Instead, pick 3 problems that you are most informed about and just describe them. Why these are problems and how they are relevant to our life. So you have done so far 2 things in essay. First, you introduced the topic. Secondly, you have mentioned the challenges or the problems relevant to the topic. What next? Of course, if you have mentioned problems, you obviously need to mention solutions as well. If you are mentioning the problems, solutions need to follow them. You can't just state the problem without suggesting its solution. So the next thing, the next para in your essay should be about solutions. Speaking of paras, I've noticed that many students, they start from point A and continuously write till point B. This is again a very wrong approach. You know, I've divided your essays in 4 parts, so you need to give a space or a space of line between these parts. For example, once you have written the introduction passage, leave a line and then write the problems passage. Once you have write the problem paragraph, again leave a line, then write the solution paragraph. Okay, so always leave a line so that it looks more structured, it looks more clean and precise. It's even enjoyable to read, enjoyable to look at. When you continuously write from point A to point B, first of all, it looks messy. It it really makes it difficult for the evaluator to distinguish on what you are trying to write. So avoid writing from one point to another point continuously. Instead, leave lines after each paragraph. All right. So coming back to solutions, you obviously need to suggest solutions relevant to the problems. For example, if I mentioned air pollution as a problem, then I need to suggest a solution. What can we do to tackle air pollution? Right? Same goes for water pollution, same goes for COVID-19. Once you have mentioned the problem that COVID-19 spreads very fast, it is very contagious, it can affect our lung diseases, it can reduce our immunity, it can even cause death in certain individuals, you also need to mention the solutions, how we can tackle it, how we can prevent its spread, etc., etc. All right. So next part is express yourself. Now, what do I mean by express yourself? See, express yourself means what are we trying to do when you are writing an essay? You are trying to represent your ideas. So this is the moment you can express yourself. I'll give you an example. You know, the other day I was talking to a student about pollution and how is it affecting our world, and I asked him a solution. Now, the conventional solutions that we hear about are afforestation. Sir, we should plant trees. Sir, we should recycle, we shouldn't use plastic. This student gave a very unique solution. He said, sir, earth is very polluted, let's move to Mars, we should colonize Mars. Now, of course, you can say that the solution was not really realistic. It was quite optimistic but not realistic. Still, I really liked the solution because he expressed himself. He did not tell me what he had heard again and again. He told me his own idea. And this is very important when you are writing an essay. You should express your own ideas, and the best way to do that is when you are writing the solutions. This is where you can show why your ideas are also relevant to the topic. For example, everyone knows that if we plant trees, we can tackle pollution, but you can come up with something else, something unique, like colonizing Mars, or like, investing in a revolutionary technology, anything. Express yourselves. I can't tell you this because again, this should be your idea. So this is the opportunity for you to express yourselves. Next, be realistic in your ideas. Again, a very commonly repeated mistake. Whenever I talk about pollution, the first thing that you will tell me is, sir, ban plastic. Obviously, this is the solution we read so many times. But tell me one thing. Look around you. How many products are actually made of plastic? Do you really think you can get rid of all these products? Imagine the phone or the tablet or the laptop at which you are watching me right now. Even it is made of plastic. Look around you. Perhaps the chair on which you are sitting, the bed beside which you are sitting, the ceiling, anywhere and everywhere you will find plastic. So banning it cannot be a solution. It will be a great inconvenience to our life. Instead, a realistic solution is, sir, we should try to reduce the usage of plastic and incentivize usage of alternate technologies which do not cause pollution. This is a realistic solution, right? You can reduce usage of plastic. You can't completely abandon it, but you can reduce it. So always be realistic in your solutions. Suggest solutions that we can do. Okay, so you should be optimistic but not stupidly optimistic. Again, a very common mistake that students tend to do while writing an essay. So I hope you have now learned how to introduce yourself in the essay. You have learned how to mention the problems and how to mention the solutions to those problems. Coming to the last part, of course, the last part, the conclusion. It is very important. In the last part, you need to conclude your essay. Conclude your essay. Again, conclusion, you can say, is just like secondary introduction. Just like I said, introduction maximum 4 to 5 lines, you should not exceed that. Same goes for conclusion. Now when you are concluding, open with a concluding transition statement like in conclusion. For example, if I am writing my last para, I'll start by in conclusion, or I can start by in the end. I would like to say, like, your starting line should suggest that you are concluding, so that the reader is mentally prepared to conclude your paragraph. Okay, so always start with a concluding transition. When you are writing conclusion, always remember, introduce a call to action. What is call to action? Call to action is basically a suggestion or a move that you are suggesting the reader to make. For example, if you are talking about COVID-19, a call to action could be that stay at home, spread awareness about COVID and get vaccinated. This is a call to action. If you are talking about, let's say, your dream India, a call to action could be that if we want to change India, first we need to change ourselves. This is a call to action. You are asking them to do something. You should ask the reader to do something so that he can think about your essay even when he is not reading it. You should leave a lasting impression. So a call to action is very important. Always suggest the reader to do something. If it is about pollution, obviously you can suggest them to recycle, to change their ways of living life, do not waste electricity, etc., etc. So a call to action is very crucial to leave a lasting impression. Again, make it short, no more than 5 lines. As I said, it shouldn't be more than 5 lines. Conclusion should be short, concise and precise. And if possible, include a social message. These days they are giving topics relevant to social messages. For example, I think feminism, supporting women's right and equality. There is a scope for introducing a social message, or let's say even in poverty or my dream India or any topic, COVID-19, there is always a probability to introduce a social message. What exactly is a social message? A social message is a positive thought that you want to leave in the mind of the reader, in the mind of the evaluator. Okay, so a social message could be that together we can defeat COVID-19, or a social message could be men and women were born equal and they are meant to be treated equally. All of these are social messages, which help us improve our social lives. So a social message is crucial for you to conclude so that you can leave a lasting impression. So I hope this is clear. So now you have clearly written an essay. Now you have learned how to organize your thoughts. Now next time, I'm sure the moment you come across a topic, you will not write just whatever is coming to your mind. Rather, you will organize your thoughts. You will first introduce the topic, then you will mention the challenges, then the solution to those challenges, and finally you will conclude. And I bet you will ace your essays if you attempt your essays this way. Again, before we conclude, there are some commonly repeated mistakes that you need to learn. First of all, avoid using jargon. What exactly is jargon? Jargon is when we use excessively long sentences to convey a very short message. See, you are already on a word limit. So use as little words as possible to convey as much as possible. That should be your first aim. So avoid using jargon. Use proper pronunciation. What do I mean by proper pronunciation? Proper pronunciation means using double apostrophe when you are quoting someone. For example, I'll show you. Even in this slide, we have used a double apostrophe. Here, see. When I wanted to convey that this is a quote, less is more is a quote by someone, I used a double apostrophe. So always remember, you need to use punctuations like these. This will help you to express yourself better. If you are suggesting a serious emotion, use an exclamation mark. If you are asking a question to the reader, did you know? Use a question mark. So these punctuations can help you be more expressive in your essays. Okay, so use proper pronunciations. After that, the next thing is avoid excessively large sentences. I've seen many students, again, in one paragraph they will write one sentence. The entire paragraph has one sentences. They avoid using full stops, which is again a great mistake. You should use full stops so that your ideas are divided into different parts and it is easier for the reader to grasp the concepts that you are trying to convey. And finally, stick to the topic. How many times does it happen that we started writing about pollution and eventually we went into a completely different direction. We started writing about human behavior, or we from pollution we went to social media, and people tend to deviate from the topic. So whenever you are writing an essay, remind yourself to read the topic of the essay again and again. That way it will help you to stick on the topic and you will be able to convey what the reader wants to understand, what he is expecting. So I hope you have benefited from this presentation. I am sure that you must have learned a lot. You must have learned something new, and next time when you try to write an essay exam, be it for any entrance or boarding or anywhere else, I am sure you are going to get flying colors. You are going to pass with flying colors. So my best wishes to you. With this, we conclude this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day.